Like they just want the best return. Like they just want the best return, right? And so the one thing that I think is really important, and I am on a mission, like literally on a mission to share with every single person. Like I want people to understand that there is one metric that no one talks about, like literally no one talks about, because typically we're talking about, you're going to get this cash on cash return, you're going to get this, the IRR or the XIRR or whatever. But nobody, Eric, is talking about the one metric that matters. And the one that matters is the ROS, right? And so most people think to themselves, well, yeah, but I just want the best deal. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, you can get 88%. But if your ROS is negative, it doesn't matter. The ROS has to be positive, right? If the ROS is not positive, then you probably shouldn't do it. And you're probably thinking, well, what's the ROS, Billy? What's the ROS? It's the only metric that matters. It is your return on sleep, the ROS. If your ROS is not positive, don't do the deal, right? And that comes through being able to ask the questions, because people may be able to tell you can get 150% return, but it will take, I don't know how long, or you may not get this, or there's a massive amount of risk. And if you're not willing to accept that, then don't do it. Don't just chase the numbers. And that's one of the things that I see that happens a lot, Eric, is like, hey, let's just how much can you get? Well, you can get as much as you want. How much risk are you willing to take? And I heard this thing the other day that was fantastic. I'd never ever heard of it, and it was from Colin Powell. And one of the things to think about, he had this theory, the 40-70 principle. I don't know if you're familiar with the 40-70 principle. I was not. And I heard about it the other day and I was like, okay, well, cool. So basically what he did, and anytime he had to make a major decision, and of course, we're talking about military type decisions, he applied the 40-70 principle, and he said, okay, well, I'm going to make an important decision in my life, and I don't want to I can have no less than 40%, and I want no more than 70% in order to make the decision. And I thought, wow, that's pretty awesome. It didn't click in the very beginning, but I thought, okay, well, less than 40, I kind of get that, because, well, if you don't have that, you don't have enough data to make an informed decision. But then also to then not move beyond 70, that meant he wasn't looking for perfection. And I think most people would say militarily, like, he did pretty good things, right? He made it to a very high level. And so being able to apply that principle, I think, because it was very scary for me. It was not easy. I was kind of joking a little bit earlier. It was not easy. Like, I went through the process, but then when it's time to make that wire transfer, and it doesn't matter if the wire transfer, the very first one, if it's 10 grand or 100 grand, it's something you've not done before. And I didn't know enough to apply the 40-70 principle. Maybe if I thought about that, it would be good. But I also think it's very, very individual. There's some people that make decisions just kind of like on a whim, and they go, yep, it feels right, boom. And then there are people that are like me, that you want to tend to overthink things, but when you overthought things, you got really good grades and you got the promotions. And so that whole pattern, that behavioral pattern, is reinforced when you keep getting the recognition, you get those dopamine hits and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's a very individual thing. What I would say is I was not comfortable. Eric, I doubt you were comfortable, and I didn't know. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to share that 40-70 principle, because for those that are able to apply that type of a principle, especially doing it on something that are much smaller decisions, so that it helps build that muscle, so that when it's time to make your first investment in your first property or your first whatever, you feel much more comfortable because you've seen it before. You've had to do it before.